my text tone when someone texts me on my phone is a bugling elk. Like, literally. And he opens it up and all of a sudden just like starts puking, and he couldn't do it. And this is my first experience actually hunting or being in the bush or whatever. I'm like, there's my boyfriend puking. There was a while there, like about a year straight, where I was probably averaging up to 200 death threats a day. And it was insane. When they came to me about doing the documentary, they said that they know that we get a lot of attack from anti-hunters and we get a lot of hate and whatever. But then in the end, when they edited it and they made the documentary, it was a whole other thing. Everyone knows me as the inked huntress. But what a lot of people don't know is that I'm actually an even better fisherman than I am a hunter. I'm out there, and I've been out there for maybe an hour just trolling around, and all of a sudden, just bam, like this rod starts screaming, peeling line, like way off the back, and I'm like, this is a big fish. Do your research and just get outside. Just get outside and go, because once you do, it's all gravy from there. This is Jacine Jadresko, and you're listening to Living Country in the City.
Y'all ready for your dose of flyover state spirit? Straight from the concrete jungle? Well, put down your latte and pull on your boots. It's time for Living Country in the City.
Hey y'all, welcome to episode 60 of Living Country in the City. Want to give a big thank you to all the folks that make this podcast possible, all of y'all who are contributing financially on my Patreon page and picking up Living Country in the City merch from the store, but especially Sawyer Products for being such a big supporter of what I'm doing here. You know, wherever y'all are headed, if you're looking for light, simple, and super reliable products to take into the backcountry, Sawyer should be your go-to. You know, they've got quality first aid products and sunscreens, but my absolute favorites are their scent-free insect repellents, which are good for you, your gear, and your hunting dog, and their water filtration systems. You know, they've got something for everyone in those lines. So go check them out at Sawyer.com or on my partners page at livingcountryinthecity.com/partners. Also, if y'all like what I'm doing here at Living Country in the City, you know, you enjoy the podcast and you all want to see it grow, please take a moment to head on over to my support page at livingcountryinthecity.com/support. See how y'all can chip in and help, whether it's simple stuff, but like leaving a rating and review on iTunes or Stitcher, or even contributing financially through my Patreon page. You know, even $1 a month comes with some pretty sweet rewards, so check it out on the website at livingcountryinthecity.com/support. Now, I know y'all are aware that we're about to get into it for spring turkey season, and I want to make sure y'all know about my good buddies over at T3 Custom Game Calls, formerly Talkin' the Talk Custom Calls. Now, anyone can get lucky one time and call in a hot 2-year-old Tom with just about anything. But if y'all really want to talk to those birds and speak their language and get them coming in consistently, then you're going to need a quality call, and that's where T3 comes in. These guys are absolute turkey fanatics, and they're complete purists when it comes to their calls. You won't find anyone that puts more attention to detail and consistency than the guys over at T3. Each call is built from specifically chosen select cuts of wood. So these things are going to last a lot longer and sound a lot better than that plastic pot call you picked up from Walmart. Now, even better, they can set you up with custom orders and designs by request, and as listeners of the podcast, the guys over at T3 are giving y'all 10% off all orders placed on the website through the end of March by using code LIVINGCOUNTRY. Go check them out at t3calls.com or find them on our partners page at livingcountryinthecity.com/partners. All right, y'all, now getting into the show. Got another episode coming at y'all from the Western Hunting and Conservation Expo out in Salt Lake City a while back. While I was out there, I got a chance to run into the one and only Jacine Jadresko. Now, y'all may be familiar with her from the documentary The Women Who Kill Lions, which you can check out on Netflix. Now, Jacine is quite a character, and she has some awesome stories to share with y'all, so let's get into episode 60.
All right. Here we are at the Western Hunting and Conservation Expo in Salt Lake City, Utah. We're here for another episode of Living Country in the City. So, I am sitting here, and I've tried to say your name.
Yes, it's
and
a really hard one.
I know how to say it, but my mouth will not. Your name is a tongue twister.
It really is. So it's Jacine, and everyone's calling me like Jacine or Jason or
so I know
Jay. Just Jay.
I'm gonna make an attempt to say the whole name here, and I'm gonna go for it the first time.
To end.
Jacine Jadresko.
You nailed it.
Boom! And that is the first time I've gotten it first try this entire weekend. So there we go. Okay,
really
I'm good. We can finish the podcast here. And nice talking.
That's it. It's over. Great. Got that right. We're good.
But yeah, so we're hanging out here at the Expo. As I'm sure you can tell by both of our voices, it's been
a rough week.
Beer may or may not, and alcohol may or may not have been involved in a couple of evenings, but...
yeah, copious amounts may or may not have been. That's it. I think I might have to go for some like dialysis when I get home.
Oh man, I've been chugging water, and so I'm straight out of Los Angeles. I am at about 100 feet elevation.
Yeah.
So I come up here. I don't have to drink anything, and I wake up feeling like I'm hungover. I have about 2 beers, and I feel like I've been shooting whiskey the entire
Really?
night.
See, I've never noticed that before, the change in elevation. I mean, I was worried about when I went on a hunt in Colorado and Idaho because we were up at 13,000 feet, and I was living right at sea, like living on the sea, literally. And so I was like training with one of those altitude masks ahead of time, thinking like, trying to get whatever because I didn't want to get altitude sickness. But I never had any problem. I haven't noticed it yet. I'm waiting for the time I end up on top of a mountain somewhere and I'm sicker than a dog. So
I've noticed it a couple of times. Like generally, it's not too bad, but I noticed it at really weird times. Like I was here for the Total Archery Challenge.
Yeah.
And most of the time I'm hiking the hills, I'm doing fine, but then I like randomly notice it when I'm like walking up the stairs into the building or something. I'm like suddenly feeling short of breath.
It's like super random time. I was probably not the altitude. Walking up the stairs, I felt out of breath.
No, but it's the dehydration is what gets me. But
yeah, I'm feeling dehydrated.
So why don't you? I always like to start with maybe just a little bit about yourself. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but how you got your start in hunting? Yeah. What prompted it? What inspired it?
So I kind of grew up around hunting. I mean, my brother and my dad hunt, and my grandpa and like all the guys in the family hunt, and but I never got into it. Like I think I wanted to go, but it was like it's the guys thing, it's the boys thing, it's what the boys go do. So that they never brought me, and I never came along, and then. I was dating this guy, and he became like best friends with my brother and stuff. And then so he wanted to go hunting with them, and he didn't know how to hunt. So me and him went, and we did our hunting licenses and the core course and stuff together. And then actually, I went out with him for his first hunt, and he shot a deer. And I remember when he went to gut it. And he was a professional fisherman, so he like cuts fish all the time and whatever, and it's no big deal. So I thought he would have this like no problem. And he opens it up, and all of a sudden just like starts puking, and he couldn't do it. And this is my first experience actually hunting or being in the bush or whatever. And like, there's my boyfriend puking because he can't gut this animal himself. And I'm like, well, we got to get it home. So I roll my sleeves up and I just dig in. I had no idea what I was doing. I had never watched a YouTube video, like nothing. I just knew that everything inside has to get outside. So I just start like ripping everything out and hacking away with this like little blade. And I'm like blood all the way up to my elbows, and it was a mess, but I did it, and I got everything out. And we got the deer back, and then my dad, helped us skin it and hang it and all that stuff, and that was it. After that day, like, all I have done is hunt. Like, I live and breathe and dream and think hunting 24/7. Since that day, I was just hooked. I was like, this is for me. And I didn't even, it wasn't even my deer, right? And I didn't even, take the shot on the deer, but just that whole process of gutting it and skinning it, and like that, it was just so primal to like go get my own meat. It was just so, primal and like natural that's it. I've just been obsessed ever since.
I mean, it's just that connection. It turns into an absolute obsession.
It is. It totally is. There's a hunter in every human being on this planet. They're all related to one, somewhere down the line, right? Like, we had to do it for survival, so it's just it's so natural.
Well, it's like everyone alive today is alive, at least however far back you go, because of a hunter.
Because of a hunter, 100%.
Reason or another.
So it's in all our blood. I think some of us just have the drive a bit stronger than others.
That's why I think the PETA people are so angry, is they just can't reconcile what they want to believe with what their core being tells them.
I get so much flack from them. I mean, there's especially once, like, every time I go on a hunt, that it blows back up again. But there was a while there, like about a year straight, where I was probably averaging up to 200 death threats a day on social media. And it was insane. And it's like, started to die off now. I don't know if it's because, probably mostly because I've been just blocking everyone and deleting any negative comment. I just don't even bother anymore. I'm just like, okay, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're gone. But yeah, they don't get it. They don't understand. But yeah, so that was the first hunt, and first experience anyways. And then I went out about a week later, and I was hunting black bear. So that was my first hunt of my life, was black bear for my own tag. And it was just took off from there. I was living in BC at the time, and then I moved to Croatia. And I actually just moved back to BC from Croatia now last year. So I'm just kind of moving all over the place. And then living in Croatia was super awesome because then I was living in Europe. And I could like hunt all these different countries all over Europe. And I could drive there or fly there in a shorter time than it would take to fly across Canada anyways. So then I started doing the international thing. And I was just like getting all these like super cool animals and all these different countries. And, and then ended up down in Africa. And, it just kind of like took off and then came over here to the States and did a bunch of hunts over here. And I just can't get enough. It's just like, it's just all I want to do all the time. Like,
so now I'm about to ask you the impossible question, and I guess it's a two-parter here. So there has to be at least and they don't have to be the same one, but a hunt that really sticks out, but maybe like a favorite, not necessarily a favorite, but one that really sticks out as an amazing hunt, and then maybe like a favorite animal. And they may not be the same. You may have had an incredible experience with a hunt, but what would you say? Maybe start with the animal. Like what's maybe your favorite thing that you've ever harvested?
That I've harvested.
Because you have quite the variety to pick from.
I do have quite the variety to pick from. That's a tough one. My Bacite ibex in Spain. The animals are just gorgeous animals, but it's the terrain they live in and that mountain hunt. I love mountain hunting, so like, getting to go and up, and then you're in Spain and you're in the Spanish mountains and you're hiking around like a goat after these goats. That was, I think, for an animal, for a species, I think that and elk, hands down. I mean, elk hunting for me is number one.
That's what got me hooked.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I started kind of getting into hunting, and it was like, I sat in a tree stand with my ex, ex's family and a few things, but the second I learned about elk, like, I mean, I'd heard of them.
It's like an obsession now. I actually, my text tone when someone texts me on my phone is a bugling elk. Like, literally.
Oh, that's too good.
Yeah.
No, they're, I mean, I've said it before on the podcast, like, they're like a mythical creature.
Yeah.
They make this obscene, crazy noise, and they're enormous, and
there's just so much about them that's so amazing and awesome. I know it's funny because like everyone always thinks when they ask me that question, my answer is going to be my African lion. You know what I mean? That's what like everyone always assumes, and just because that is a big dangerous animal doesn't mean that that. Because everyone has that appeal to it, it doesn't mean when you're actually a hunter that means that's the most important animal. Elk for sure is my favorite animal to hunt in the world. And then if I could pick like that one species, from international or whatever, I'd say the ibex. And then my favorite hunt, hands down, without a doubt, was my hunt that I did in Colorado. I came down and hunted Colorado and Idaho with Matt Howell, who you've spoken with. Best time of my life. Like, we just had so much fun. I didn't even cut a tag, and it is the best hunt of my life. We hunted so hard. We covered so much ground every day, like packed in, set up, and just had such a great time. We got into elk even, I was living in Europe, and I put in for a tag in Colorado, and I got a tag. So I flew all the way from Croatia to Colorado to hunt elk. And that was my first elk hunt, and I've been obsessed ever since. But the hunt, it was awesome. And then we went over to Idaho, and we were in the Idaho Invasion, which is kind of like a hunting competition. And that was super cool because I'd never, done something like that where I'm with a whole bunch of hunters. I've never been in, like, a hunting camp with a bunch of hunters or whatever. It's always just, I'm always hunting, like, by myself, or just if I'm in another country, it's me and a guide. And so, I mean, there's all kinds of guys. A bunch of them are here. I've seen them here at the Expo and stuff. And it was like we ended up being like one big family, and it was supposed to be a competition. So like, we're all trying to like find the biggest buck, but in the end, like, we're all like, helping each other out and teaming up, and like, I think I saw something over there, like, go check out that area, and I'm going to go here. And we all ended up working together and making it like one big group hunt almost. And that whole experience was just super, super cool.
You guys aren't understanding the competition aspect of this.
No,
Come on.
we weren't at all. We totally like kiboshed the competition, and it all just became like one big like group hunt,
Oh, funny.
There's bar none. Bet that's my hands down best hunt I've ever done, and I didn't even cut a tag. And I've hunted all over the world.
And that's how it should be. That should not be the definition of whether or not it's a good hunt, an amazing hunt.
The experience, yeah. And like just some of the mountains and the terrain we gone into and how hard we hunted. Like we pushed it really, really hard. Like I don't know how many miles we were covering each day, like 20 something miles or whatever. It was like insane. And it was just, elevations and get all the way up to the top of this summit. And then, okay, now we got to go down and go over the top of that mountain. And then go down and go to the top of that mountain. And it was just like, it was just a great time. And Matt's a great guy to hunt with. We're super good friends. So, yeah, for sure. The best
that's
one.
Awesome. So, you mentioned your African lion.
Yes.
And that's, there's a little bit more surrounding that.
Yeah,
there was
all the controversy.
Was it? I can't remember. Was it just a Netflix only movie?
No, it wasn't done for Netflix. I actually did that as a documentary for BBC in the UK.
Okay, that's right.
And then I guess Netflix picked it up from them, and they've put it on Netflix now. So yeah, that's the documentary is The Women Who Kill Lions. And yeah, same thing when that aired, of course, like the backlash and the whatever. And it was like bad when it aired, in the UK. And then Netflix picked it up. And then it went all over again. It was like a year later. And all of a sudden, I'm getting all these like people like, sending me messages. And like, hey, I'm watching you on Netflix right now. I'm like, you are? Like, what? What do you mean? Like,
so did you not even know that Netflix had picked it up?
I had no idea.
Oh,
and then,
wow.
in a matter of like a week, I think I had like 300 people like, text me or Instagram me or Facebook me like pictures of like their TV with me on the Netflix. Like, I'm watching you on Netflix. I'm like, yeah, okay. Now I'm aware. I'm aware now, but yeah, I didn't know that it was going on there. No.
So maybe just maybe the little summary of kind of the documentary, what it was about. It was you and another.
Yeah,
woman.
Me and Rebecca Francis. She had hunted mountain lion. And they they just kind of wanted to. When they came to me about doing the documentary, they said that they know that we get a lot of attack from anti-hunters and we get a lot of hate and whatever. And they just wanted to put like an actual like face to the person that's, that's doing this and to show, a bit more behind it. And that's the reason why I agreed to do it, right? Because then I, talked tons about conservation and, just why I hunt and my passion for it and whatever. But then in the end, when they edited it and they made the documentary, it was a whole other thing, which, I should have seen coming. But it's not that bad. It's not that bad. They do try to paint me, and they do build this profile of me on there that is not me at all. Like, so not. But generally, yeah, they followed me out. They came out to Croatia. I took them out on a hunt. Oh, man. We went out I took these guys out on this hunt, and they're not like outdoorsmen. Like they make, documentaries. Like the guy that did it, he actually does that show Drugs Inc.
Okay.
Where he flies and like interviews these like massive drug dealers and stuff all over the world. So like that's what they're used to filming. So when I brought them out on a hunt and we're going up and down the mountains, whatever, and they're like dying and trying to keep up. I ended up, getting into some animals, and I was lining up to take the shot, and I was waiting to pull the trigger, but there was, I was hunting sheep, and there was another sheep behind the one that I wanted to shoot, so I had to wait, right, because you don't want to kill two sheep.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for the other one to step out, and then the camera guy, like, goes to move, and then, like, falls and kicks a rock over, and they all take off, and I'm just like, I wanted to I'm pretty sure I went off on a lot of swear words in Croatian. Luckily, he didn't understand me. Yeah, I was really mad. And I actually said to them, do not put that in I'm not giving you permission to put that in the film, because I was not a happy camper.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
And especially for me, I'm still new to this, and I'm still working on my first few hunts, and if somebody ever
right. And I was right there, like they're in the sights. I was lined up, I was just waiting, and you're in that moment when you've got the sights and your sights are on your animal and you're in that moment. It's such like a intense moment, and you're just waiting to pull the trigger, and then yeah, I still get worked up when I think about it.
Oh my gosh, you just put one or two in the leg of the camera guy, and,
right?
leave him up there.
Yeah.
That's
let
a joke.
The coyotes,
no emails, please. That was a joke. So there was a lot of backlash from that. And,
no, there was for sure, and that was the kind of reason why they wanted to make the documentary in the end too. it was because of all the hate and all the comments and whatever. At one point, they even said to me, like, they wanted to film it. They're like, hey, can you like post another picture of your lion before, and then like let us like watch all the pop-ups come up? You know what I mean? To like see how much hate I'm getting. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna like purposely go poke the bear. You know?
That's a little sadistic, right? There.
Right?
I'm kind of like
let's see how many people can hate on you in 5 minutes. Like, post a picture of your lion. I was like,
I don't know. That would be an interesting competition. You get a bunch of very high profile hunters and
see who gets more hate.
Have everyone post up their most quote unquote offensive offensive
That's
picture.
A good word
and
for
see.
it. Most offensive. Yeah. And then I moved back to BC. And they actually flew out again to BC to, like, you know, film with me some more and wrap up what I was doing out there. And yeah, it's basically, it just kind of like follows me around a little bit about my life, a little bit, you know, but they didn't use anything that I talked about is what I mean. Like anything that I really talked about like my passion for hunting, my love for hunting, they actually kind of almost like tried to peg me out to just be like this trophy hunter that's just doing it for heads on my wall. Yeah. That's kind of like the image they tried to build me up. And that is like so far off from the truth, you know? But it is what it is, whatever.
That's a tough situation. It almost kind of makes you want to be like, okay, I want all of the raw footage so I can release. Yeah, I can release it as well, kind of a thing. Like that would, I don't know. I've had some buddies that have done, you know, out in California. I've had some buddies that have done interviews with the news and things like that, and they've come up and they want to talk about AR-15s or whatever, this or that or the other, and guns, and it always turns out the same way. Yeah. You know, they're always like, well,
it always does.
Maybe.
I know. And I even had the news, like they contacted me not even that long ago. They sent me an email asking to interview me for something. There was, I don't know if it was about them banning the bear hunt or
probably the grizzly ban in
or
BC
someone, it was something else. Oh, someone illegally harvested a deer like in city limits, like in their backyard or whatever. I think they wanted me to comment on that. And also on the Steve Eklund and his cougar in Alberta. They commented the news contacted me wanting me to do an interview about that, and I just stay away from all that now because I know how the news is, and they're going to cut and use only what, you know, they want to give the image that they want to, you know, mold things to come out and, you know, and it's always in a negative way against hunters. So I just stay away from that stuff now. I'm like, no. No, find someone else to interview.
So what would you say to, someone new coming into the industry, a new hunter, you know, someone that's just wants to get out there and is a little bit nervous about this? You know, they're like, I don't know if I want to get into this. I'm a little afraid of the backlash that might come of it.
Oh, gosh. Just take it with a grain of salt. At first, when it first started happening, I think I used to argue back with people and whatever. And then I realized I'd wake up in the morning at 5 because I'm an early riser. And at 10, I was still laying in my bed because I've been sitting here arguing back and forth on social media with people. And I just realized that it was first of all, a futile effort and pointless. And and then in the end, I just stopped caring. Now I don't even read them when the comments come up. I don't even look. I don't even look in the inbox of the filtered messages. I just don't care. You know, people can only say so many things to you so many times until it loses its effect, you know. They could only tell me they're going to, they literally say that they're going to, skin my son alive and hang him from a tree and make him watch while they gut and skin me and then drown him in my blood and, crazy stuff. And, you know.
Some very creative writing at times, I imagine.
But even all that stuff, honestly, after you've heard it so many times, they're just like, oh, there's another anti-hunter. And I'm the sicko.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, I would just say, you know, just who cares? Do you care what Joe Blow from whatever state that you've never met in your whole life is commenting on a picture of yours? Does that really affect your life? Does it really matter what they think of you? And it doesn't at the end of the day. You know, these people don't know me. None of them have ever met me in person. I'll probably never see any of them as long as I live. So who cares what they think of me, you know? And that's what I would tell any hunter getting into it, to just go with that attitude, and then it'll never bother you. Water off a duck's back, you know?
Let's pause there for just a quick moment, hear a word from one of my partners.
Alright, y'all, I'm not afraid to admit that I'm a huge geek when it comes to games, and well, let's face it, a lot of other things too. However, when it comes to nerdy card and board games, I really can't get enough. So when I found out there was a card game out there combining two of my passions, hunting and nerdy adventure games, I really had to pick it up. The game is called Gut Pile, and the goal is to build the ultimate Alaskan hunt. You do so by collecting several cards including animals such as grizzly bear and moose, hunting locations like Yonder Mountain and Nunya Creek, as well as weaponry, gear, and transportation. But make sure you've got tags or donuts handy because you never know when an Alaskan state trooper will drop in unannounced. It's a great game and a ton of fun for hunters who are inspired to share stories about their past hunts, as well as non-hunters who can be brought into discussions about hunting in a very non-threatening way. If you'd like to learn more, check out my podcast with the guys at Gut Pile Games by visiting livingcountryinthecity.com/22 and get $5 off your order from Gut Pile Games by visiting our partners page at livingcountryinthecity.com/partners.
All right, so, and it's not just hunting that you're obsessed with, right?
Yeah, so that's actually a funny thing because everyone knows me as the inked huntress and this hunter. I know that I'm a phenomenal hunter. Like, I do know this. But what a lot of people don't know is that I'm actually an even better fisherman than I am a hunter.
Okay.
I grew up on the West Coast, BC, right, on Vancouver Island. So salmon and halibut fishing is just like part of life. And I have a house down in Cabo. And I have a boat down there, so I go down there lots to fish like marlin and tuna and dorado and stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, it's the same thing as hunting for me. When I'm out on the water and I'm just so in my element and just in my zone, and it's just like where I'm supposed to be. It's the exact same passion, yeah, that I have with hunting. And I kill it. Like, I slay it. I gotta say, I honestly, like, I slay the waters. I don't know anyone that like pulls out like fish like I do.
I'll admit I am a absolutely horrendous fish. However bad I am of a hunter, I'm probably worse of a fisherman. I grew up. That's one thing I did grow up doing. I grew up fishing, but it was it was literally not even one specific type of fishing, but one specific place.
Yeah.
I just grew up every year. We'd go to this lake out in Kings Canyon, Sequoia National Forest area, and we'd hunt it. It was lake fishing. I grew up. I knew exactly how to set up my rod, and that was the whole thing. And now, I'm traveling around and I'm hunting these places, and I realize I have no clue what I'm doing. When it comes to the ocean, that's even a whole different bag.
That's my vibe, is the ocean. I'm not as good. Like, I haven't even done a whole lot of lake hunting because, I'm always on the ocean. I do bring a trout rod if I'm out, hunting, and I'll pull out some trout and cook them over the fire or whatever, But, deep sea fishing, ocean fishing, that is my thing. That is my bread and butter. I actually, it's like my family's house down there. And we've had a place down there for 15 years and had a boat for 15 years. And we all go down there. Like, I go 4 times a year or more. Every few months I fly down just to go fishing. And all my friends are like, oh, yeah, we'll come to Cabo with you. And I'm like, okay, but I'm going to fish. Like, every day, right?
We're not sitting on the beach here.
It's not like, it's like I'm going fishing every single day. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, like, we get it. And then they come down and, like, literally I'll be there for 12 days and I'll go fishing for 12 days. And they're like, can we do something else? And I'm like, you don't have to come. Like, you don't have to come on the boat. You can go do whatever you want. They want to go to the bar. They want to do the Mexico thing, right? But it's a second home for me. So, like, I go to fish. And so my mom had the biggest tuna that anyone had caught in our family for the longest time, and it's been mounted up in our hunting house actually that we have back home, and it was a giant. And last year I went down and I ended up catching a bigger tuna than hers, which is like now I hold the ranking of biggest fish or whatever. And then a few months later I went back again. And not only did I catch the biggest marlin anyone in my family has caught, I shattered that record by 3 times bigger. 3 times,
Jeez.
just like 3 times bigger than what anyone had caught in my family and on the boat down there. That marlin is massive. Like, he is huge. He's like 13 feet long or something. I don't even know. The mount actually just got to the house before I left to come here, so I don't even open the box yet. This massive box sitting in my front yard right now. It's huge.
Now this was the story Matt wanted me to make sure to ask you about, because I hear it's quite the adventure getting that marlin in.
Oh my gosh, you don't even know. I actually remember us talking about that last night. Now
You're remembering it now?
It just came to me. Yeah, it just came to me. Because we talked about fighting it to the death.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So It's a blue marlin, first of all. So, and blue marlin, when they hit hard. Like, they take off. And so we're just, trolling around. I'd actually gone fishing every day. I've never caught a blue marlin in my life before. There are plenty of striped marlin, tons of striped marlin, but I never caught a blue. And I've been down there. I went fishing 4 times, and all 4 days I hooked blue marlin, but couldn't get him into the boat. And so then it was the last day. I had a flight booked home for, I had to be at the airport at 12 or something. So I was like, well, I'll just go for a couple hours in the morning and get a couple Dorado or whatever, mahi-mahi, so just some more fish to bring home. So I was like, I'm not going to go for marlin today. I don't have a lot of time. But I still want to go fishing. Like, always last day, I'm flying out that day. I still get up and go fish and then go to the airport and fly home. Like, that's how much I love to fish. So I'm out there and I went by myself. I had a friend that was down in Mexico with me, but they were just like, no, I'm not going again. I'm not into the fishing thing like you are. So I went by myself. I do have a captain down there that works for me that is, he just drives the boat. But I'm fishing and running all the gear and doing everything up the back. He's just, up top driving. And I'm out there, and I've been out there for maybe an hour just trolling around, and all of a sudden, just bam, this rod starts screaming, peeling line, way off the back. And I'm like, this is a big fish. And I look, and this thing just jumps right out of the water, and it's massive, and it jumps almost right over the boat and just takes off, just jumping away, and it's taking off into the distance. And I'm like, oh my God. And all of a sudden, my captain's screaming at me from the top of the boat, and he's like, get to the front of the boat, we have to chase it, because otherwise you'll run out of line, because these things are so powerful and they go so fast. So I grabbed the rod. I just have this little belt thing around my waist that I put it on, and then a vest, and I hook the vest onto the rod and the reel. So I'm now attached to the rod and the reel. So if this thing pulls me overboard, I'm drowning to death and dying, because this massive fish is going at this speed of sound and dragging me underwater kind of thing. So I was trying real hard to not fall in. And then as my captain puts the boat in full throttle to chase this fish, and it was still gaining ground on us, and we're full throttle. I'm holding onto the rod. I'm trying to get up to the front of the boat. I'm trying to get around the side of the boat without falling off. The boat's up and down, slam, full throttle, chasing after this thing. I'm holding on to the bars. I'm trying not to fall in, thinking I'm gonna die because of this fish. Oh man, and that was just the fish hitting the line. That was the beginning. So I finally get up to the front of the boat, whatever. We're chasing it. It finally slows down, and then you start the battle, right? And this thing is massive. I'm only 5'3", right? So I'm not a very big girl, and I've got all this weight on my arms. This fish was well over 600 pounds, and I'm fighting it, and it's it was a super battle. So after, I don't know how much time, we started thinking we're not going to be able to get this thing in the boat. My captain's actually looking at me, and he's like, oh, fish is too big, senora. You have to cut the line. Too big. We can't do it. We need help. But I'm like, you cut the line? Are you kidding me? And I'm like, either this fish dies today or I'm going to die, but one of us is going to die. And I was like, I'm not letting this thing get away. I was like, this is massive. This is a once-in-a-lifetime fish for me. I was like, not happening. No way. This is 3 hours in. And then he's like, well, pump and reel. And I'm like, I am pumping and reel. And we're screaming back and forth at each other. We're yelling at each other. And then at one point, the fish, it was probably 20 feet off the back of the boat. But I literally could not get it even 2 inches closer. I spent 1 hour with that fish in that spot, and I could not, because I would pull up, and the drag was tightened all the way up, and it would still just take the line out because it was so heavy.
Jeez.
It was so heavy that it would just pull the line out when I tried to pull up on the fish. And so that's why when he was saying the fish is too big, it's too heavy, we can't get it in, it's because literally you can't pull the line, because it just takes it out. And then I actually put a post on Facebook, and I was like, hey, I've got this fish, and it's this big, and I've been sitting here for this long, and I have no idea how to get it in. Anyone have some tips or something?
This is the best. You have the biggest fish of your life on the end of the line,
and I'm battling it, and I've got one
Facebook.
hand. Yeah, I'm like, I need help. Somebody help. And then, strangely enough, so my phone starts ringing. And I have no idea who it is. It's a Facebook call, and I answer it, and it's this guy from Alberta that owns all these fishing charters in Cabo. And he's like that, and, I know him through, social media and stuff. And he's like, oh yeah. And he's like, no, I'm going to send my boat out to you with my whole crew, with all the guys. Give me your coordinates. He's like, we've got the full chair that we can like buckle you into and help you out. And I'm sending a videographer to come film it and everything. Like, we got your back. Don't worry about it. Like, I'm going to save you. And I'm like, oh, well, thank God. But then the fish ends up moving and going for another run again. And so I chase it again and put the boat full throttle again and catch up to it and then slow down. That happened maybe 3 or 4 times. And I'm battling this thing. And now I'm like 4 hours into fighting this fish. My arms are like dead. And the water's just starting to get so rough. Like these waves, I'm sitting on the back of the boat, I'm battling this fish, and the waves are just coming right up over my whole head, and I'm getting all the salt in my eyes. And like it was nice because I was so hot. Like it's Mexico, and you're like working out the hardest workout of your life for hours and hours and hours. I'm like sweating, I'm hot. It's like this like cold water felt good, but then the burning eyes and the salt in the mouth, and it's just coming wave after wave after wave. And we're looking off on the horizon, and we're looking in the distance. We're like, where's this boat that's coming to help us? Like what's going on here? It should have been here like half an hour ago. So I look on my phone, and he tells me, he's like, oh, sorry, like I sent the boat out, but the Navy or Coast Guard stopped us and sent us back and said no boats are allowed to leave the harbor because of huge storms coming in.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm like literally in the middle. They can't even see land anywhere around me. And now there's this massive storm coming in, and they like grounded all boats to not leave the docks. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? And now I'm really starting to get scared because it's starting to get dark, and I'm just like, like, I don't want to be stuck out here in the middle of a storm for this fish. And even I'm starting to think maybe, like, should I cut the line? And I'm like, no. What am I thinking? Oh, yeah. So on top of that, I was supposed to fly home that day, remember?
Yeah,
so I totally missed my flight home. I was like, whatever. I was have to book a new flight the next day. Like, I'm not getting on the plane. I don't care. Like, this fish is getting in the boat. Yeah, so there were so many things that happened in that 5.5 hours. So, okay. So almost falling off the boat, chasing it. Boats coming out to help us. They get stopped. They get whatever. And I'm like, finally, I get the boat. I get the fish, like, close to the side of the boat, and my captain goes over to try to gaff it, and I'm like, oh, finally, like, this is it. This is the end of it. I'm like so tired. And what does it do? The fish just takes off again and starts spooling, taking line, and going right down to the braided line at the bottom of the reel. And we're like, we had 3 times we had to actually get another rod and get it ready to tie onto this rod. To like throw the rod in after the fish because it took so much line because it goes so far. But now I've been like,
is that like a thing? Like,
yeah.
I know nothing about deep sea fishing, but is that like
a
normal
thing?
It was
that day. And it takes off again, and I'm just like, I don't have the strength in me after like 5 hours of doing this to do this again, like all that line gone again and bring it all the way back in again. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, but I'm not cutting the line. My captain again, seeing her too big. We need help. We can't do it. It's too big for us. Like, cut the line. And I'm just like, I'm swearing at him. I'm not cutting that line. Like, not a chance in hell. Da, da, da. I get the fish close to the boat again after that last long one it took. It's been, hours and hours. The whole thing ended up being 5.5 hours beginning to end. And it's getting close to the boat. And then it just stops for a bit and did that stop sitting thing again where I can't get it to come any closer. And I'm just like, you've got to be kidding me. And then all of a sudden it just goes down. It's taking line. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to kill somebody. And my captain looks at me and he goes, no, it's going down. Like, it's not going out. It's going straight down. He goes, it's going down to the bottom of the ocean to die. And I was like, please tell me that's what it's doing because I cannot do this anymore. And I was like, I said one of us is going to die and we're going to fight to the death. And in the end, that's happened. I literally fought this thing until one of us died of exhaustion. And it went down to the seafloor to die. And then what was even worse then, though, and now it's dead weight of a fish trying to bring up from the bottom of the ocean floor. Whereas before, you pull on the nose and it swims up and kind of goes, with the current. Well, now it's dead flat fish that I got to now pull up from the bottom of the ocean floor.
Jeez. And
it was just like, so and when it got to that point, we actually ended up kind of like doing what they do with like the big game tuna fishing and hand lining it up because it was so heavy and they couldn't pull on the rod. It would just take the line out.
Yeah.
So we finally get it up, and sure enough, it's belly up, and it's dead, and I'm so happy. But now we got to get it in the boat. Now, I mean, my captain, he's this little Mexican guy. He's smaller than me, and I'm 5'3", and he's like half my size. And we've got this like monstrous fish that we now have to like somehow gaff and drag into the boat. So that took us, I think, like another hour to even get it into the boat. We're like, 1, 2, 3, pull. 1, 2, 3, pull. Then he's like, I said pull. And I'm like, I am pulling. it's so heavy, I can't get it in. Oh gosh, but when that fish finally was in that boat, I don't think I have ever screamed and jumped and like been so happy and relieved at the same time. I think I actually made a video of it. Like as soon as it came in, I grabbed my phone and did a live because everyone was now following me and following the whole story. Like every half hour, did you get it in? Yeah. What's going on now? What's going on now? And there was like, I don't even know how many people like following the story now because I made the post that I've been fighting this huge fish and they all want to see it. So I jumped on and I was screaming up and down and jumping and oh man, we got back to the docks. And nobody believed it. And they were like, everyone, all the different, the guide boats and everything were all coming to see this fish that this little girl brought into the boat. No one could believe that I did it. And my captain's like, she did it all on her own. Like, I had to be at the top driving. I couldn't be helping her on the back of the boat. And, oh, yeah, it was... I feel like I'm still even missing a few things from the story because I remember there was like 10 crazy things that went on in this 5-hour battle, but you get the gist of it.
Oh my gosh. Like I'm like super like I'm all pumped right now.
Right?
Like, oh yeah.
You want to go catch a fish right now.
Oh my gosh, that is absolutely
it was an epic battle for an epic fish.
That's like Hemingway Old Man in the Sea kind of
That is my best harvest of my life right there, that one, because that was a one-on-one like battle for hours, fighting back and forth. Like, that's I can't even think of any hunt where I've had any kind of like battle like that. You blow a stalk and then you gotta get up and blow the stalk again, but not like this was like one-on-one, literally like on the either end of the line fighting each other, like just absolutely epic.
What was the total time, like how long from like when you first hooked the fish really to
from when I first hooked it to when I got it up to the side of the boat was 5.5 hours, and then it was like I don't know how long to get it in the boat after that.
Jeez. So you're probably talking a good 7 hours.
Oh yeah, for sure. Holy and then we had to drive all the way back. And I was looking at the GPS and realized this fish was so big and so powerful. It took us 16 miles offshore from where we first hooked it. 16 miles. That's how much that thing ran, and I chased it, and it ran, and I chased it, and it ran, and I chased it. Like, that's insane for a fish to drag a boat 16 miles. Like, that was something else.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I showed you the picture of it last night. I know no one can see it on a podcast, but I'm going to pull it up now because now you need to see it.
There we go. I definitely need to see this. Is it on Instagram as well?
It is.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that's my fish. It's massive, right? And people look at the picture and they're like, oh, you must be standing behind it or something. But if you actually look, my feet are in the same block as the nose of the fish. I'm not behind it at all. Gosh. I'm literally like...
That is massive.
Monstrous.
I'm like shocked by this.
Yeah, so imagine how big the crate is that I just had to get this shipped to me. And
it almost like it's so big it almost looks fake. It looks like a movie prop or something.
I know, it doesn't even look real. Like just the spread of like the back fin is just like 5 feet long.
You have to like knock out a wall to hang that on it.
I actually did an outdoor mount because I have a place on the ocean, and so I'm mounting it like literally in a like jumping over. Like, it's like almost jumping into the ocean on the beach.
That's really cool. I was going to say, like, that would never fit in my 450 square foot apartment.
Yeah, right? I know. I'm starting to really, like, have that trouble with my mounts and stuff. Like, there's no room for them anymore. So that big tuna I was telling you about, like, it's just still in my garage in a box because, like, I don't have anywhere to put it. Like, I'm out of wall space because I have all my animals from hunting, too, right? And then all these big fish. It's just like... Man, I should have done that tuna as an outdoor mount, too, because then they could have both been out there jumping into the water.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
Well, so if people want to do check out all the adventures, see the pictures.
Yeah, they can find me and follow me on Instagram. I'm Inked Huntress on Instagram. Or just look me up under my name, Jacine. It's Jacine. I'm the only one in the world, I think. My parents made my name up, so I'm not hard to find.
So, as I kind of mentioned earlier, this podcast is really focused on new hunters. I like to reach out to maybe folks like myself from the city who don't have a background in it. And we talked a little bit about, people that may be intimidated because of the hate. But what would you say to someone if they came to you and like, oh, gosh, I just want to get out the outdoors. I want to start hunting, but there's just so much to learn, so much to do. It's too intimidating. I'm not sure I can do it. What would you say to that person?
Well, I used to, be there, not even that long ago. I think I only got into this like a few years ago, right? So I just say, like, just go, because once you go out there one time, none of that intimidation is going to even cross your mind anymore, because you're going to be so hooked. Like, you're just going to want to go all the time and want to learn. And, you're going to just start watching YouTube videos on how to skin this, or how to stalk properly and this and that, and whatever. Just do your research and just get outside. Just get outside and go, because once you do, it's all gravy from there. That's the biggest thing for anyone intimidated or anyone not sure. Because it is intimidating. There is a lot to learn. But once you get out there and you get that connection with, with the woods and the backcountry, and you just want to be there all the time. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on the show.
Yeah.
I know it's
been great.
It's getting to be a long day, so
yeah, it's going to be a long night too.
I think it's about time to go grab a beer, grab a burger, and you've got your ladies' luncheon. I know.
No, ladies' luncheon.
Sorry, no, that was
There's
yesterday.
the big banquet tonight, the auction. Yeah.
It's near
so
impossible
to
keep up. There's at least 3 events for every time of day.
Yeah.
But, well, thanks again for hopping on.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, y'all, that'll do it for episode 60 of Living Country in the City. Make sure y'all head on over to our show notes page at livingcountryinthecity.com/60 and check out links to all of the stuff we talked about in today's episode. Go give Jacine some love on social. Also, I want to say a big thank you to my latest Patreon supporter and another California resident, Alicia Floyd. Make sure y'all go check her out on the show notes page as well. Or find her on Instagram, I_love_Lucy815. But in the meantime, keep it country, y'all.
Thank y'all for listening to Living Country in the City. Get show notes and check out the blog, product reviews, events, and more at livingcountryinthecity.com.